Development Program from 13 to 18 July 2020, organized by School of Law, Sharda University. The session is graced by Chief Guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of RMNLU, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, and we have with us our Dean, Professor Pradeep Kurushreshtha. Sharda University, a leader in the field of higher education, has taken an initiative to increase and improve faculty standards across all levels, especially in the area of teaching learning method and research. During the present COVID-19 pandemic, also Sharda University has been on the forefront in delivering quality education through virtual mode, and same has been recognized recently when it became one of the very universities in India to receive the prestigious QS iGOG Elite Certificate for Excellence in Online Education. Also, in India Today ranking of Best Law School 2020, School of Law Sharda University has secured 28th rank in its very first participation. Continuing with the same commitment to quality education, School of Law Sharda University is organizing an online faculty development program from Monday today, 13 July to Saturday, 18 July 2020. This online faculty development program is especially designed to discuss, deliberate, and come up with innovative teaching learning methods and research in law, especially in the light of challenges ahead. We have received an overwhelming response from the participants. 800 plus participants have registered for this FDP and is still receiving the request. We would like to thank everyone for displaying such great enthusiasm and participating in large number. Now I'm again repeating some instruction for this program. You are advised to join the online link for the sessions morning and afternoon at least 20 minutes before the start. Don't leave in between of the session. During the sessions, keep your devices on mute, both video and audio. Please join before muting your devices. Do not write greeting messages like good morning, etc., and your name and designation in chat box. Chat box is only for questions. At the end of each session, a feedback form will be shared with you, which is to be filled and submitted compulsorily. It is mandatory to attend all the sessions to avail the e-certificate of the FTP. Now, I would like to invite our Dean, Professor Pradeep Kurushreshtha, to deliver the welcome address. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Huma. Very good morning to everybody. It is my distinct and proud privilege to extend a very warm welcome to Honorable Chief Guest, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, National Law University, Lucknow, in this inaugural session of the Online Faculty Development Program on Innovative Teaching Learning Methods and Research in Law Challenges Ahead. Professor S.K. Bhatnagar is a well-known legal luminary. At present, he is heading National Law University at Lucknow, and he has a long teaching and administrative experience. He has completed his LLM from Kurukshetra University and PhD in law from Rohtak University, Haryana. He has worked in various capacities in Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. Some of the major positions he held were Dean Law as well as acting Vice Chancellor of the university in the year 2001 and 2007. Professor Bhatnagar has served almost for 4 decades as law professor in university departments. He was also the member of the first academic council of the National Law School, Bangalore, in 1987. He has been nominated by the Chief Justice of India as the member of the Executive Council of the Indian Law Institute in 2006. Based on his long teaching and research experience, he contributed in many reputed institutions of national repute. And we are very fortunate that he is our mentor and he's helping us improve our teaching, learning, and research in law. Professor Bhatnagar has published around 3 dozen papers in very highly reputed journals and authored many books as well as edited some books. And he is also a member of the editorial board and advisory board of the reputed law journals in India and abroad. His special interests include legal aid and legal literacy programs. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time. And I'm sure your inaugural address will keep all of us on our toes, and this will be thought-provoking, and we will certainly live up to your expectations. Dear participants, we are thankful to you. You have joined us in large number, and this is one of the advantage of keeping things online, wherein everybody can join from their places of comfort. Otherwise, when we hold FDP in university campuses, it becomes difficult to host more than a certain number because of logistic issues. So we must thank technology for enabling us that we are getting this opportunity of great learning. We know a good copper, a good cutter keeps his axe in very sharp stage forever. And whenever he doesn't have work, he's keeping his axe sharp. Similarly, we teachers should keep ourselves sharpening our teaching, learning, and research so that whenever we get opportunity of interacting with our residents, with our colleagues, with our seniors, we can exhibit our knowledge and our wisdom. With these words, I, on my own behalf and on behalf of the management, dignitaries, faculty, non-teaching staff, students, and dear participants, once again welcome our chief guest in the inaugural session, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, Vice Chancellor Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, National University, Lucknow, in this inaugural session of the 6 days FDP on uh, innovative teaching learning methods and research in law and challenges ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Bhatnagar to deliver his address.
इसमें लिखा है अनम्यूट अनम्यूट क्या होगा आपको आपको बोलना होगा आपको यू आर नॉट अनम्यूट क्या लिखा हुआ यू आर अनम्यूट हाँ तो ठीक है आप अनम्यूट यू आर अनम्यूट आपने इसको किया
Respected sir. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Please wait for a few moments before sir is online.
No, sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir is asking for. So I think headphone is not connected properly, sir.
Now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is audible, sir. Yes, sir.
Audible?
Yes, sir. Her headphone was not connected, sir.
Okay, so I had started. Point number one is that different systems of education which are prevailing now. We may call them editions or versions of education. First, that is Gurukul system. In Gurukul system, there is one teacher to a few pupils. Mostly, these pupils are were selected by the teacher. So it was not an all-inclusive system of education. It continued for centuries in India, and in certain pockets it is still continuing. When British came here, they brought a system of traditional universities. Now, in this system, one teacher to many students. So difference was, and is, you can say, in Gurukul system, pupils are there, and traditional university system, students are there. But since we still believe in Guru Shishya Parampara, So we call them Shishyas. Traditional university system incorporated many disciplines. But in recent times, we see that there are specialized universities. University of Technology, Management, Agriculture, Health, Law. Then the third version of education is distance learning systems. In distance learning system, one teacher to many unknown learners. So from pupils to non-students to unknown learners. It is still continuing. Now the fourth version or fourth system is in the offing, and its growth has been accelerated because of this COVID-19. So we are going to have a blend of traditional university system plus online learning system. Now in this, we will have blended education, or you may call it hybrid education, where offline plus online will go together. We are talking about virtual university college. Virtual university where the university will not be having an address, physical address, like 235 Greater Noida. It will not be a space. So university will be a process. That is also in the offing. Now, after discussing different systems of education, we have to combine the traditional university system with the distance learning system. Now we come to the status of law colleges, the second point, and it relates to their funding. One category of law colleges is decently funded, very well funded. And this category includes private law colleges, private universities, some of NLUs also, and in some central universities, the law departments also. The second category can be adequately funded category. In this category also, there are certain private universities, private law colleges, some of the NLUs also, and some of the departments of the central universities and state universities also. The third category can be of low funded colleges or schools. Mainly, these colleges are in type B and type C cities. Some of them are also even in big cities. Now, all these categories have different problems. So one solution fits all cannot work. So we will have to go through the issues and problems which affect the functioning of these categories, colleges and schools. Now, one thing I can say with confidence that during this COVID-19 period, it is still continuing, the teachers acted as corona warriors. Despite many deficiencies at their levels, having no learning management system at the college level, having no training in implementing these programs, they did well. But when we hear that in some universities or colleges, there was salary cut, percentage-wise, the salaries were reduced. No salary for summer vacations also. Now, this is very unfortunate because the backbone of any college is teachers. So we will have to train them. We will have to give them good salaries also. And when we say they are corona warriors, they must be treated with respect and honor. The third issue is that is transition from physical teaching to online learning. Now, in this, we have found during the last 3-4 months that the faculty members have managed to deliver the course content lectures through various modes, though they were not satisfactory modes, but all of a sudden when they were made to do that, they did very well. So email was also used, PDF was also used, YouTube was also used, and some online platforms like Zoom, Microsoft, Google Meet, they were also involved. So when we take a clue from transition from physical teaching to online teaching, then we find there may be 3 stages for that also. The first stage is that is face-to-face learning to online classes. That is where we converse through LMS. Now, this is the stage 1, and many of the law colleges have yet to attain this particular stage. Because when we make delivery through email, PDF, or YouTube, that is not face-to-face learning. But online classes have been taken through Zoom also, through other apps also. Now we come to stage 2. The stage 2 is where 100% course delivery is online. Now in this system, the assessment is also through online, grading is also through online, evaluation and examination, everything is online, and the delivery is 100% online. This is stage 2. We have yet to reach that stage. We have to graduate from stage 1 because we have still to achieve stage 1 in many of the colleges. And then we will move to stage 3. Stage 3, where the complete delivery of course credit is made online. We can say it is online system where the degrees are online. Now in all these stages, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 1 face-to-face learning, stage 2 100% course delivery, and stage 3 complete delivery of course credit online. In all these 3 stages, we find that at the receiver end there are problems. The colleges and the universities may transform from physical training to online training, learning. But there are issues at the receiver's end. And these issues are, the first of all, which has been recognized by all, is of power supply. That there is defective power supply in different pockets. If the power supply is there, then there is problem of internet also. If there is internet, then there is problem of slow internet. And there may be problem of no internet also, that there is no internet. This is one of the problems which we have to face. This is the reality. Second thing is, in all these 3 stages, we need to have fully trained teachers. Now, we could manage in last 2-3 months because we knew about these applications, email, PDF, YouTube, and Zoom, and other conferencing apps. But when we move to stage 2 or even stage 1, we would require the trained staff. The teachers are to be fully trained. And then another thing is that the students are also to be trained, because training at one level will not do. We will have to have training at all the levels. And not only this, we require a very good IT department in the college also. Because in most of the law colleges, what has happened in the last 2-3 months, that there is no IT department, there was no IT support from the college. So we have managed it. And not only in colleges, in NLUs also, because as I mentioned that there are decently funded NLUs, adequately funded NLUs, and low funded NLUs also. So NLUs are also not one homogeneous category. This must not be mistaken. So when we make transition from physical teaching to online learning, it is necessary that we have a good infrastructure, good human resource, and all the things are there. Then we can move. Now, issues in online education from the side of teachers. There are some plus points. First of all, this online education system allows innovative methods of teaching with the help of technology and online tools. So they can use various modes and tools, methods also. In Blackboard, chalk, duster lecture method, at the best there can be PowerPoint presentation. But in this system, there are no limits. The teachers can avail many kinds of tools, and technology enables them to use them, and other methods can also be innovated. This is the first advantage plus point of online teaching from the angle of the teachers. The second good point is that now the teachers can reach the students across geographies, across different regions. Now we have seen webinars in recent times. Now webinars from the scholars speaking from USA, Europe, and from different parts of the world. So if in this system, there is a benefit for the teacher that he can reach out to different students, varieties of students across regions, across classes, across geographies. And thirdly, this third advantage, this online system is also good for distance learning. Now, you know how the distance learning was started in India, that the course contents were sent by post to the students, and then they were called in the campuses through rotation, and contact classes were held because there was no email or internet. All these things were not there. Now, since all of these things are here, and UGC is also interested in allowing universities to and colleges to go for online courses. Initially, only 100 universities are being allowed. But if the law colleges and law universities also become efficient, I think they will also be allowed. So it is going to be useful for distance learning. There are certain minus points also. First of all, the first problem is minus point is that online teaching takes lot of time and lot of practice. Now, if a teacher has to prepare the lecture for physical teaching, face-to-face teaching, it is easy. Preparation is quite easy. But for online teaching, lot of time is required. So I believe that the time of class should be reduced in online teaching. It is good for the health and eyes of the teacher also and students also. And it needs a lot of practice also. So this is one thing, my flip side of the online teaching for teachers, that online teaching will take time and practice. Then there is another problem, that teachers enjoy teaching in the classes. There is eye contact. There are conversations, discussions. Now, in online system, it is not effective delivery of system. If you compare this theater with cinema, now in theater, the artist gets immediate response and he enjoys acting there. But in cinema, it is not there. So in online, initially it looks like that But it is not true also, because there are these systems which provide very good online conversation, discussion, and all these things. But one thing is very clear: mentoring becomes very difficult, because in classroom you can patch somebody who has given very intelligent answer. You can encourage face to face. That seems, difficult in this. Then there is another problem, that is a minus point, that there is the teacher is not able to reach all the students. It has happened in some colleges. 80% students could join, in some 70%, in some colleges 40%, because there are technological limitations. If you have one platform, at the other end, receiving end, that is of the student, must have the same platform. Now coming to the students, what are the plus points, advantages of online teaching for them? First thing is that there is a good ability for them to learn using different online tools and methods. Learning is enjoyable. Different tools they can use, different methods they can use. That is a plus point. Second very interesting thing is that there is no disruption in learning. In physical teaching, floods, sometimes earthquakes, sometimes strikes, sometimes curfew, the schools and colleges are closed. So the education, learning or teaching is disrupted. But from the angle of the students, there is no disruption. And third interesting thing is that they can learn anytime, anywhere, with any speed. Because if they are sitting in the lecture room, if the lecture is for 50 minutes, then they have to go with the speed of the teacher. And they will have to learn only in the classroom. And they will have to learn in the timetable, whatever is written there, that is the class is scheduled. So the benefit of the online teaching from the angle of the students is anytime, anywhere, any speed. But there are minus points also from the angle of the students also. That is lack of free-flowing conversations. I believe that in each and every class, there are 10 to 20% persons, students who enjoy conversations, more so in the law classes. So that benefit of free-flowing conversation is lost. Then there is another angle, problems with devices. That is, everybody doesn't have smartphones, computers, laptops, and then access to internet. That is, it may be slow, it may be no internet, it may be 2G, for example, Jammu and Kashmir. So there are other problems also. And third, minus point is that they will get used to it. Then it becomes personal. If the parenting is impersonal, that the mother is sitting in one city and she is trying to mentor her child from different place, you can very well imagine that it will be impersonal and the child will be used to it, and child would not like to meet his or her mother physically. So likewise here also, that is the loss. And another thing is, and that has come to fore, that when they study at home or with the family members, there are so many distractions. You know, gurukuls used to be set in the forest. Likewise, the universities were also established in the at the outskirts of the cities. Now they are in the city. That's a different thing, because city has grown around them, but otherwise they were outside. So when learning is taking place at home, it may be 1-bedroom flat, it may be 2-bedroom flat. Parents are there, siblings are there, guests are there, family is there. So there are distractions in this kind of learning, and that is not good for the students. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of online learning from the angle of the teachers and the students. Now I come to the basic point of resources, and that relates to categorization of different law schools and law colleges into decently funded, adequately funded, or low funded. Now, first of all, we need a very good library where good amount of e-resources are there, where open access resources are there. If they are there, you need funding also, otherwise they cannot be there. So first innovation is to be made in the libraries, that libraries must have e-resources, open access resources, e-books also, textbooks also. We will have to move in that direction. It may be difficult, but there is no choice. Then there is another point of accessibility, because you have the resources in the library, then whether the students can access these resources or not. And then affordability also, because 1.5 GB is available on some e-charge packages, but whether that will be sufficient, that is also to be seen. So that is another challenge for us, accessibility and affordability from the angle of the students. Now what can be the way out? Now we have to think about that. Out of the box thinking, you can say, innovative thinking, you can say. First of all, we can think about a pooling of library resources. Now on 16th, all NLUs are going to hold a video conferencing to discuss these issues, and one of them is pooling of resources, mainly library resources. So this pooling of library resources can be done. For example, if you take Greater Noida, there are many law colleges. Now that there can be clusters, many clusters of different colleges. It may be private to private, it may be government to government, it may be private to government also and government to private also. But what I believe and what I think, there will be certain difficulties between a kind of a collaboration between private and government. Government to government is possible. The state governments are, going for that. Likewise, the private universities and private law colleges can do that. And second thing, very important thing in these collaborative efforts is, when you are pooling your resources, there must be hand holding of by more resourceful colleges, because there are certain colleges which are low funded, low resourceful, and at the same time they need hand holding also, support also, because they cannot be equal partners. So those universities which have advanced technology and resources also, rich resources, they must support and do a kind of hand holding of these law colleges. And in this, when they make a collaborative effort, they do not involve only the law colleges, they can involve the senior lawyers also, the senior teachers also, the senior judges also, because now we will have to go for that, because there cannot be one size fits all solution. That is not possible. So there are different problems at different levels. So even if we have cluster of colleges or we pool our resources, there will be issues. So for that, we will have to go beyond that. We may involve NGOs also. We may involve the advocates who are willing to give their resources, who are willing to give their lectures, even from other countries also, because in webinars they have been invited. So they can continue to be with us. So for resources, it is to be done. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. Then what can be the guiding principles for reimagining new normals? Because, you know, when we move forward and we are talking about innovative legal methods, research, teaching, learning, we will have to set certain guiding principles that we will move along these principles. Okay. Now, first of all, we will have to change our approach. Now, what has happened in the last 2-3 months, in most of the cases, I can say, is that there was delivery of course contents. It was only delivery, like a courier delivers some material. In certain cases, there were interactions also on Zoom or in Google Meet. I am not blaming all the persons, all the colleges, but in most of the cases, what happened, because of the problems at the level of the college or at the level of the teachers or the level of the students also, because some students were not having that platform or app, or they wanted only PDF, some wanted email, some were not having even the good internet, 2G only in Kashmir and Jammu and Kashmir, like that. So we have to change our approach. Now, the approach should be learner-centric approach. Now, when we reimagine the new normals, we reorient for online classes, or we go for innovative teaching methods and learning methods and research, we will have to bring that learner in the center so that he can have real world learning. And that can be done with the help of lawyers, with the help of NGOs, with the help of other professionals. They can be involved. So they have what you may call experiential learning, learning based on experience. And for that, one thing is to be done. Please ask your learners, what do they want? Till now, the law colleges, law universities, they have never asked. So they have, though there is no doubt that they have some kind of interaction in good schools, but they do not ask the learners what do they want. So now all the colleges will have to focus on the learners, will have to take feedback from them, and will have to understand that what they want. Because if they want to go for practice, there are law colleges in Mufassil towns. They may go for district court lawyering. There are some who will go for high court or Supreme Court lawyering. Some will go for corporate lawyering. And some may go for, hello. Some may go for some other world also. We will have to
Respected sir, requested to unmute yourself, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For how long I was muted?
Sir, just now. Just now.
Okay.
Just
How
now.
did it happen? I didn't touch anything. Anyway, the technology here. Now, second guiding principle is that now we are going to have technology-centric approach. Because earlier we could go for blackboard teaching, we could provide photostat material, PowerPoint presentation which could be printed. Now, this is not going to work now. We will have to utilize the technologies which are emerging. And for that, I give you a clue. Because many of the law teachers are also not tech savvy. Now, one thing can be done. It happens in European and American universities also, Western universities, I can say. They have a system of teaching assistant, research assistant, and teaching assistant. Now, teaching assistant of a senior faculty will take care of all these things. So if you ask your college that appoint a technology assistant, IT assistant, it is difficult. So you can rope in some good students who are in 4th year and 5th year, maybe in 3rd year, who are good in technology, and you can encourage them. Secondly, all the young, fresh faculty, they are in a very good position so far as the technology is concerned. So when we have to become technology centric, the senior faculty, the junior faculty, and the students as TAs, they have to be drafted. This is the second, guiding principle. The third guiding principle will be, now we will have to look into the future also. That is, we should have future centric learning or skills centered learning. In this, we will have to partner with employers, advocates, corporate world also, and that will be online also. So skill-based training will have to be given from the very beginning. Now, what used to happen that in all law colleges, it started in the 4th year or 5th year. Now, we will have to think about it, and all the levels of the colleges will have to have different strategies and the techniques for that, depending upon their financial resources. Now, we have to think about the skills which we want to develop among our law students. Again, we will have to innovate. Because of this technology enabled system, online system, there are benefits. We must reap all the benefits which will come with this kind of teaching and learning. The first skill which we have to develop is critical thinking and problem solving. In online method, the lecture method is not going to be sufficient. And I believe for next 2-3 months, this situation will continue. So this semester, at least I can say 50% this semester is going to be online, and nobody knows that it is fully online till December. So we will have to think about that. We will have to innovate. So we will move from lecture method to case law method. Now we don't employ in all the universities this case method. So we can give a case to a student, and that case method can be discussed in the class. Or we can do for critical thinking and problem solving, we make small groups of students and we allot them certain cases, and they come with arguments for both the sides, like mooting, you can say. Then secondly, we can formulate problems like numericals. So we give them these problems, numericals, and in the next lecture, we hear them that what are their solutions. So the problems should also be innovative. It should not be run-of-the-mill kind of a problem which is already there in the act, in the illustration. That will not be good. And then quizzing also, MCQ also, there can be many kinds of approaches for developing the skill of critical thinking and problem solving. Then another skill which has to be developed, which would become very difficult to develop in online teaching, but that is to be done, that is collaboration among them and a kind of leadership among the students. So when they are in the small groups, then the leadership will automatically emerge. They will have the tendency of working with the team. So team and spirit will also come, and they will collaborate. Now earlier it was not happening. in most of the colleges, now they can join themselves through online. So they can make small groups and they will remain connected. They have been given a problem, they will come with a solution. They have been given a case, they will come with solutions, like that. And ask them to frame questions also, quiz also. Why it should be a one-way traffic? Why teacher should ask only questions and quizzing? He should go for quizzing on the one side. They may also develop quizzes, MCQs like that, they can develop. Third thing, which is going to be, I mean, very important because of this online, that they develop effective oral and written communication. Actually, oral communication may suffer because physical meeting will not be possible in next 3-4 months. Debates and discussions will not be very effective in next 2-3 months. So for that matter, they will not be in a position to develop this communication, oral communication. So for developing oral communication, small groups can be made and small group discussions may take place. They may be given the projects of journalistic writing. For example, Vikas Dubey, Encounter. Now, they can draw, I mean, news, information from media, from channels, and then they can write news item kind of a thing. So the third thing is, the fourth skill will be accessing and analyzing information. For that, they should use the news. Using the news. So tell them to use the news and then call out the legal issues which arise in that news. For example, Vikas Dubey murder case. Oh, sorry, Vikas Dubey, this encounter case. We can ask them to see the legal side of it. What are the issues involved in it? And then we will have to develop curiosity and imagination among them also. For example, now you see UGC says that hold the examination of a final semester by September. The states say no. Some of the states say no. Then yesterday, the UGC or the MHRD says, no, you will have to hold it because it is mandatory. Now, here, there must be a curiosity among the students that how does the Constitution solve this issue? Can it solve it? What are the constitutional issues involved in it? That is, UGC is created under the central law. Whether the UGC directions can be mandatory. What is the role of the states? What is the relationship? So, and what can be the relationship? Is it good relationship or is it not so good relationship? Likewise, center-state relationship also. So they must have some kind of curiosity and imagine a new kind of constitution, imagine a new kind of UGC, they can do it. And last skill which I would like to emphasize is the mental and emotional intelligence. That is the mental and emotional resilience, because that research, that stress is to be managed. So if a law college cannot draft a motivational speaker, I think each and every teacher can ask their his or her students to go for, I mean, motivational listening, and for that they can provide some material also. And lastly, that is because I could deal with the innovative teaching and learning methods only. On research side, I believe now it is going to be for next 6 months, research will be library based. Now field study is not possible, but there are very exciting areas which are emerging in different disciplines. For example, take international law. UNO is getting weakened. WTO will have dents. Other international institutions will suffer. And that hegemony of one group, the one, I mean, block of the countries will also, I mean, will be diluted. So it can be done, research can be done on these areas, and it can be library based. Second area which comes to my mind is the labor law, because labor law has suffered in last 2-3 decades. Now labor law come to the fore because now we need different kinds of labor amendments, labor law amendments, because of the crisis of migrant labor. So some innovative ideas must come, and you can research also for PhD, and I think the library based research will be useful in that. And then constitutional law also, many issues have emerged in that area. Then cyber law also, because cyber law is going to be important when everything will be online. Then cyber frauds and cyber offenses will happen. So that may be another kind of area for research. Now so my main focus was on online teaching, learning, and methods for that. And I believe that if the law colleges, the parents and teachers, they come together, there is no problem in dealing with this COVID-19 situation. It has accelerated the growth of online teaching. We were very slow. It has come all of a sudden. So at least now we are in the stage of what you may call taking off, and we must move further. We must go for second level, and for that we need some finances. That is a problem in this particular times, and we need training also, training of law teachers also, and law teachers and all other teachers, I take them as corona warriors. Private universities must think about that, their salaries should not be cut. They should be provided with solutions, and they should be taken care of. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now I would like to invite Namit to coordinate the question answer session.
Thank you, sir.
So, all the participants are requested to post their questions in the chat box only. And the session is open for question answer. Please post your questions in the chat box only.
So by the time
Thank you.
Sir Namit is taking question, Namit Kumar Srivastava is assistant professor with us, and he's Dr. Huma. He's coordinating this. Your
So we have first question here. So Dr. Hiranya Nanda, assistant professor, asking a question that are all the faculties and students well equipped for online teaching? How appropriate it would be for the poor students studying in the private universities where online teaching is now made, especially in remote rural areas?
Yes, that digital divide is a problem. There is no doubt about that. And many students have suffered because of that. But there is another dimension of this problem also, online teaching and online learning, that some of the students in final year, they were recruited by good companies. And those students wanted that the teaching should be completed as early as possible, number one. And number two, examination should also be held as soon as possible so that they can get their results in August. Now, they may be 10%, they may be 20%. But their interest can also not be sacrificed. This is to be understood. Every law college, every institution has students from Kashmir also. They suffered a lot because of this internet problem. So there could be only two options. Those who can appear in online examination, we allow them. Rest in the physical examination. So I know that they have suffered because, you know, in COVID-19, the migrant workers suffered a lot. And that is to be taken care of by the government. And for that, they will have to, enhance the speed of internet and spread of internet. And they have already done it from high speed resolution to high definition to standard definition. They have reduced it. But when you say in villages, then this is an issue of governance, and that is to be dealt with by the state and by the college also. If the colleges are rich, they will not have poor students. So that's why it is a problem of poor students with low funded colleges. I understand that. But the solutions are to be found at different levels. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have another question here. Sir, as we are trying to be Atmanirbhar, what's your point on labor law? Whether it should be strict?
Strict in what sense?
As in the question.
Okay, I reply. I can give an answer to it. There are two things. The labor law from the angle of the employers, the industry owners, they are also in difficulties because they have taken loans. So if their industries are closed, there will be no labor. On the other side, the labor population has also a problem. So we will have to make a balance between the interest of the employers and the workers. Now there cannot be one-sided solution for that. So labor law is necessarily for change. There is no doubt about that. And we would like that it should be more tilted towards the interest of the labor class. But the state has to balance both of them. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next question.
The next question is how far the online teaching serves the vision of education?
The vision of education.
Yes.
I can't fully understand it, but I can say that online teaching is not going to be the only mode of education, at least in near future. We will have offline teaching, that is physical mode teaching, and the online teaching, and there will be a blending. The blending can be 50-50. For now, the state governments are insisting on 25% online and 75% in classroom, because it seems that the things may be all right in September, but we must prepare for 75% online teaching, at least for this semester. It may be 100% also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then we have another question. Sir, students are less interactive in online classes. How to handle them?
Students are
less interactive in online classes.
Okay. Then we will have to generate interest. That's why I was, talking about changing the methodology of teaching from this lecture method to case law method. Case law method is prevalent in, in Delhi University for a long time. So we will have to change that. That is, when we give them some cases, we ask them to write some news item. We ask them to comment on news item which have legal ramifications. All these things have to be done for quiz, for group discussion. They will have to be done by the teachers, because this one-way traffic is not possible, and they will lose interest in learning. So we will have to make efforts. The teachers need to be trained. difficult period for teachers and students also, no doubt. And we will have to have different solutions for different colleges, for different teachers, for different students. There cannot be one size fits all solution for that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So I have several questions here. So we cannot take all the questions here because of paucity of time. I'm going to take last two questions only. This one is from Vinay K. Government is saying that any private college and university should not let me ignore it for now.
Any
The next, sorry, sir, that question was not relevant for the
okay.
discussion, so I'll cover that. The next question is, sir, what is your take on those teachers and students who are not so much tech savvy? Why not the universities are coming forward to equip them to come out with the situation?
Yes,
Dr. Rajiv Kumar.
yes, I discussed this problem, and this is the main problem. And for that, for example, if I have any problem relating to technology or this internet or computer, then I take help of somebody who knows it. In most of the cases, he or she is a young person. So young faculty can support, or you can say handhold the senior faculty. That can be one solution. Another solution can be that the students are tech savvy. So they can be drafted, they can be roped in a small group. If some kind of remuneration can be given, because TA, that is teaching assistant, gets remuneration also. If it is not possible, so some kind of privilege can be given. It depends upon the teacher or the college. So fourth year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, students can be, drafted. They can, we can have a group of 4 or 5 students who are tech savvy, who know technology better, and through them we can develop till college makes an arrangement. In government, it may take 1 year. In private university, it depends upon the finances, the fee coming to them. In some places, the fee is around 10,000 rupees. And in some private colleges, it is 1 lakh. So there will be difference of resources also. So that is to be dealt at that level. Yes.
This is going to be the last question, sir. Sir.
Amit, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello, I am not
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you please answer the question posed by Vinay regarding the salary cut by universities? Because many questions have been, similar questions have been asked by other guests also.
Please, we will not entertain the questions on mic. Please write your question in chat.
So this is going to be the last question. Sir, the online teaching is effective in the aspect of knowledge-centric. The online teaching is effective in the aspect of knowledge-centric wise, but how we are going to overcome the challenges in the aspect of punctuality and discipline?
Now, I have found the teachers, faculty members who are punctual and regular in their classroom teaching, they were punctual and regular in their online teaching also. Some of them even took classes in the evening, because this is the issue I have not discussed. The issue is, how can you make a student sit from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.? The issue of internet, data, and then health also. Bodily health and eyes are strained, not only of the students but of the teachers also. So the question of punctuality and regularity, that depends upon the teachers, and they are the kings of their classes. So if they are good in offline, they are punctual and regular in offline, they will be punctual and regular in their online also. If the students are not available, they can change the timing also, because this issue has also to be taken care of, that how we can have back to back 4 classes. We will have to reduce the time of the class also from 1 hour to 45 minutes. And if there are 2 classes, then there is enough data with the poor students. And then many a time what happens that the phone is with the smartphone is with the papa or mama, or is not available. It is available only after 5 p.m. So one class can be held in 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. also. There will be many solutions actually. There cannot be one size fits all solution. That is not possible. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for answering all these questions so gracefully. Homa ma'am.
Yes, sir. Namit, now you can give vote of thanks. And feedback link is going to be shared.
Okay. So thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all the participants and distinguished guests present here. It is my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of all those who really worked hard to make this inaugural session of the FDP a success. I, Namit Kumar Srivastava, Assistant Professor, School of Law, Sardar University, on my own behalf and on behalf of School of Law, the management, Sardar University, and entire fraternity of teachers and staff here, first of all, would like to extend my most sincere thanks to our esteemed chief guest of the occasion, Professor Bhatnagar sir, who spared his most valuable time for this FDP and enlightened us with the nuances of teaching learning, explaining the different systems of teaching, and deliberating on the challenges posed by the system of online learning, and proposing certain out-of-box solutions and guiding principles. It was indeed a privilege, sir, to listen to your words of wisdom, and it also perfectly sets up the stage for the rest of the days of the FDP, which are going to be engrossing sessions. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time. Next, I'll take this opportunity to extend my gratefulness to our Dean, sir, for his constant guidance to all of us and being the catalyst that he is in motivating us all to perform with best of our abilities. Thank you, sir. Here I would mention Dr. Homa ma'am for her efforts in making this inaugural session a success. Without your guidance and support, the event would not have come together so nicely. I would like to thank Mr. Pragati, Mr. Suresh, and Jesse sir for the perfect technical and logistic support for the event. Last but most importantly, I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to all the participants for joining this FDP program and making it a success. We are looking forward to your continued and esteemed presence for the rest of the sessions in all 6 days. And we'll be looking forward to meeting you again in the afternoon session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for very enlightening address.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all.
Good day.
Thanks.
Good
Good
day.
day.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
And to all the participants, if suppose there is some problem in clicking the feedback link, we'll share that again in the second session. So please cooperate with us because it was so difficult to manage such a great number of the participants. There may be some technical issues. So we'll share the feedback link again in the second session. Thank you very much for joining the session.
Thank you,
Excuse me.
Dr.
Hello. Excuse me. Hello. 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 Am I audible to you? Hello. Hello.
Please exit. Inauguration is over. Please join in afternoon. Thank you very much.
Hello.